So this is one of the things that I think it helps us all as far as self-improvement, and that's a pet peeve that I have, and it's not so much with other people, it's just with me, because in order for this world to be a better place, it has to start with me.
Yeah. And that's another thing I had on my list about asking questioning everything.
Okay.
You know, we always hear that about questioning everything, but do we question ourselves, like you say you do for yourself?
Yeah.
I constantly question, why do I believe what I believe?
Okay.
And how I came about believing everything I believe. And is it actually factual?
Okay.
You know? I think that it's something I have. I have a book called Socratic Questioning, and that opened my eyes up to a lot of things within myself.
Okay.
And the thing about Socrates that we learned about Socrates that we got in Plato, because Socrates never wrote anything, only his students we have anything recorded of his students talking about him.
Right.
But one of the things was in the town that Socrates was in, the lady said, "You know, you're the smartest person I ever met." And he was like questioning her, "Why you say that?" You know. And so he set out on his own to go around the town to see if anybody, you know, was smarter than him or whatever. Because even when someone's giving him a compliment, he questioned it.
Wow.
Now, we don't have to go through that extent, but I think questioning some of the things, that'll stop us from being hypocritical.
Yeah.
Like if I do something, I say something, or if I come across a certain way, I have to question, okay, why did I do that? Was that the proper thing to do?
Right.
Or some of the things that we talk about, like, I'm going to say like the voting thing. You know, whether we should vote or not here in this America, black people, that's, you know, that's up to the individual.
Yeah.
You know, but my thing is when people say, did you vote, you know, and they're all on your back about voting, and because that's their thing.
Right.
You know, that's their thing. So what it is they don't question themselves. And sometimes I would do that. And I'll say, yeah, I voted, or I didn't vote, whether I did or not. And I say, did you do this? Something else that's hot in the black community. Did you boycott this? Did you do this? And then it's like, no. I'll say, well, okay, you want people to do what you want, but you're not looking at the things that we're doing that you're not supporting.
Yes, sir.
So it's everyone has their own venue and avenue of doing things, but you think that everyone should do what you want them to do and not look at what everybody else is trying to do.
Oh, that's pretty important. And if your brothers and sisters that's watching this broadcast don't know, this brother's speaking from the heart, because he questions me every time we have our broadcast. If y'all go back and look at all of our broadcasts, our previous ones, I'm always throwing out some jewels, and then he gonna look at me and ask me a question like, why? And I like that, because that keeps me sharp, and that makes me think about what I say instead of just rambling like most of us allow each others to do. So I appreciate that in you. One of the other things that I have that's heavy on my heart, man, is health conscious and being intentional. In other words, I have to look at my health. I have to take care of myself. Now, again, I'm not talking to other people. I'm talking about myself, because most of these happens to be what I deal with on a daily basis. You have one life, and a lot of times we use cliches. You only have one life to live, you know, to go out, do it for all the gusto and all of these things. But we have to be health conscious, because as we get older, things happen that don't happen when we're younger. And so we should automatically want to look at how can I extend my life as far as not just what I eat, but taking care of my body. You know, and I think that's very important. Instead of, you know, looking at TV and seeing people exercising and getting excited about them, I mean, we can do some basic things that's going to help extend life, like walking, brother. That doesn't cost much. Walking, drinking water. I mean, I know I always tease you about when I come over to your crib, but I'm going to still rob you one of these days, because you got all that water, and boy, if we ever have a shortage, I know exactly where I'm going to get my water. But we should do things, man, that's going to prolong life. You know, make sure that you don't eat too much salt. Make sure that I don't eat too much sugar. Now, these are just health tips. And I know someone may say, well, you can't tell me what to do. I eat how I want to. Well, you can, but in the long run, man, as we age, we're going to find out that health is very important, and being intentional. In other words, don't just talk about what you're not going to do. Do it. At least take increments, little steps. I think that's going to preserve life.
I think what happens a lot when you start to do that, when we start to talk to people about being better, whatever it is, people get defensive, you know, and then it's like, well, I do this or I do that, and it's like, okay, but are you doing what I just said? You know, you say you do this, like even I'm saying like smoking cigarettes, right?
Okay.
I mean, people do what they want to do, but if you're having problems, and someone just say, hey, because I'm doing this out of love and concern. I could care less. I could see somebody smoking or whatever, and I'm just bringing up smoking.
I got you.
But I could see someone doing it and care less and walk right by them. But if I say, John, man, you kind of, you be smoking a lot, bro, you know, and I'm trying to say it in a way that's lighthearted,
Right.
but it's only out of concern.
I got you.
You know, and that's what people have to take into consideration. But when you talk about something or you bring up something, a lot of times what they do, they'll say, well, you do this or you do that.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
they get defensive about,
Exactly.
what they do.
Right.
And, man, I've been doing this. Or my grandfather lived to be 98 years old and he used to smoke 3 packs a day.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, but what that have to do with you?
Man.
Then when later, you keep that in mind, then all of a sudden they got all these health issues
Yeah.
and things like that. And you
Yeah.
don't want to be like, I told you so, but it's like, man, I'm doing this out of love and concern.
Right. I'm going to ask you a question. You always asking me questions. I'm going to ask you a question because I noticed something about you today. Man, I've known you for many years, and we've done about 3 years worth of broadcast, but tonight or today you cool. You been smoking dope or something, man? You laid back, man. You laid back, man. I like your style. I hope you keep it like you just mellow. I like that, man. Y'all don't know what I go through with this brother, but
I thought I always came across as mellow, man.
oh well, you do sometimes, but today you super mellow. So I'm gonna check. I'm gonna check out. Maybe you got to do a blood test after this broadcast and see what's really
Maybe
going on.
My grandson rolled me out this weekend.
Okay, maybe that's
that
it.
Fiesta, Texas,
I hear you.
and all that stuff like that, man. I've been trying to get all this together too.
Right. If you're interested in giving us a call, we really want to know what's on your heart. We have an audience, and they are chomping at the bits. They cannot wait for Kevin and I to slow down so they can go to this microphone and say, because all of us as adults, I know whether it's our children, whether it's society, whether it's politics, whether it's religion, whether it's what I want to talk about when I get done bringing this up, saying this number, which again, those of you who are interested in giving us a call, give us a call at 361-405-6111. I'll slow it down because someone told me the last time we did the broadcast, they said, man, you get going, you talk fast, so let me slow it down. 361-405-6111. Now, Kev, you know I have to bring up this next one, which is education.
Right.
But I want to talk about it from the standpoint of the system is failing our children, and we know that. I don't want to talk about that, but I want to talk about how we also are failing our children. When I say we're failing our children, I'm saying the basic things that we can do to help our kids, those young ones that come home from school and we never check on what type of work they're doing. I know a lot of us may not have been super educated, but we can check on the work that our kids are doing. We can challenge them. We can ask them questions. And if we see them struggling, we can do what we can as adults to put them in a better position instead of just complaining about the system. We can do some practical things that can help them in their academic pursuit. And I think that's one of the things that many of us we harp on, but we never do anything about. And I just want to challenge myself and everyone else, because even though I have a school, I'm still not doing all that I can do to help, especially in the summertime, because when the summertime comes, that's summer. You want to just kick back, throw your feet up, and don't want to do anything. But I think we should really, really, truly look at how not only is the system failing our children, but a lot of us, we are failing our children as well.
And I know the education thing is big with you. I mean, you have your own school and everything. And when I ask the questions, these are sincere questions. I'm not doing it to tear anything down.
Yeah.
But I want us to think about options. So the schooling thing, we always complain. And that's what I know that just irks you too, because we complain, but we keep doing the same thing. We send them to public schools and we complain about the public schools. And the options are what? Like when someone complains about the school, it's like, okay, so what's your options? Are you going to, the public school is terrible in my community. Okay, so what are you going to do about it? What are options that they could do about, like we could say pull them out, do homeschooling, but that may not be an option for them,
right.
depending on the individual. So I'm saying, what are some options that people can have instead of just complaining? Like, what would you say if someone came to you, man, my kids are this and this, and they in school, and my, whatever's with the school system, what would you tell them?
I would tell them, first of all, I would say, instead of complaining about it, you know what your child is doing. They get report cards every so many weeks. Get that report card. Look at where they say that child is struggling. Let's say, for example, if it's reading. Get together with other people if you can't support them and say, I want to get other parents who's interested in helping my children. And within a group of parents, maybe there's someone that can tutor and help that child know how to read. These are practical things you can do. Mathematics. You may be really sagacious in math, and I may not be. But if my son and my daughter is struggling, I may say, well, Brother Kevin, I know you're pretty good at math. Can you help my child? Can you dedicate 15 minutes, once a week or whatever? Just something to try to help them as they get along, because they're not going to take them out of the school. And I know there's a group of people now that's talking about trying to start something like that. I think I applaud that. But you have to look at that curriculum. What's being taught in this curriculum? Are you teaching them about identity? Are you teaching them about culture? Are you teaching them about what our ancient ancestors have often said about, in order to do anything when it comes to education, you got to know who you are? Because that's where it starts, that with self-education, knowing who we are. But I think in answer to your question, I think we should see where the child is struggling. We should try to get with other people who are like-minded and see what talents do we have and put those talents together and do something that's just basic and practical that can help these people.
Yeah, tutoring, community tutoring is an option. But people, I think we should, as a community, have places where kids can go to learn. I know it's like some years back before the COVID thing, I was trying to get a bunch of people I knew together and rent out the library, say on a Wednesday night.
Right.
And everyone had their own little specialties. Like people, I like this subject, I like this one, and they were saying, I want to do it. I do it, and I was proposing it to a lot of the people I knew on my social media. And some people, I'm good at math, or I'm good. You need a couple of people good at math because you have math at different levels.
Right.
So, and it was like I had a bunch of people that was interested and said, let me know if you get it rolling. That's probably on me. I dropped that ball, but I think it's up to the community, because somebody could have friends and all of them don't know. The people surround themselves. They don't surround themselves with people that's a lot smarter than them, which they should. I heard one person say, I can't think of who said it, but he said, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. That means it's time to move out that room and go find somebody that's because you could continue to learn. But a lot of times what friends do, they like to be around, like you probably make people uncomfortable because you're always talking education or you're always talking health. A lot of people that's not going to the gym or doing all this stuff, they don't want to be around that person all the time because that's what that person always, or how it makes them look. And I think sometimes a lot of us, we don't surround ourselves with people that that's doing a lot more, so it makes them look bad within themselves. I had a friend of mine, I think we had a show where we was talking about the HBCUs, or maybe I brought up, and the negativity that came from that, they called later and said, well, can they house all our kids? And it's like, no, it's not about housing all of them, but when somebody comes in concert, and the concert is sold out, then they have what they do. They come back and they have another another show, they add on to it because they want to get as many people as possible. If we flooded our schools, the HBCUs, this is what my point was with that particular person. It's not like our classrooms are full and they can't take any more kids. Right. Talk to me when it's like that. I told him, I said, if you open a restaurant and you say, well, I want black people to support my restaurant, I got this chicken restaurant, and somebody said, well, you know what, can you house all the black people that want to come in and eat chicken? No, they're not going to do that. It's going to be like, okay, support this person, and if you run out, then that's good.
Kevin, I think too, we have to look at, everyone is at a different part in their life. We all go through phases of life. But whatever we do that we have a passion for that's heavy on our heart, it's up to us to pursue it, because you may like something way more than I do, and I may see you on fire for it. And if you come to me and say, Ja, I'm doing this great thing, man, and I'm like, well, yeah, it's all right. But I want you to know that you're going to have to continue on in spite of the people like myself and others, because that's why a lot of people give up, because they run into so many naysayers. And sometimes after a while, even with me, people tell me sometimes, if I were you, I wouldn't even be doing this school. And I'm like, why not? Then they start talking about all the negatives. And if I allow those to get to me, I can throw in the towel. You know what? You're right. But I don't care. Come hell or high water, I understand that it's important for people to leave a legacy. And this is why I do what I do. I also want to shift gears to respect. That's one of my pet peeves, is respect. When I say respect, all I'm saying is treating each other with care. Showing respect, man, showing concern. And I know some people say, well, in order to get respect, you got to show respect. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if you ask me, hey, brother, how you doing today? I'm doing fine. Kev, how you doing? Or you ask me, brother, how you doing? Ian, what you talking about, man? You know what I'm saying? You know, and all this kind of stuff, or the way we treat each other within our households, our families. A lot of it is just a lack of respect because we don't think that these people care and they value. And so I'm saying that we need to respect one another. Some of our youth, you know, just not so much saying yes, ma'am, and no, sir to older people, but just showing them that as a person that they matter. And that's going to help us go a long way as well.
Okay.
Respect.
Yeah, I look at the respect thing. When we talk about, as elders, we talk about these kids, and we say, well, man, they don't have the respect like they had when we was younger. And I look at it, man, when I was younger, with all this yes, sir, yes, ma'am stuff, we had the crack epidemic. We was killing each other like crazy. We have to do more than just say, well, if they say yes, sir, no, sir, you know, and think that that's it. We have to get the shovel, get the tools, and dig deeper, because it's not just that these kids are just not respecting. It's the system is against them. This system is doing everything it can to have them being the way that we are complaining about them being. So to me, we have to unravel what's happening to our kids and how it's happening. And it's not just, see, these kids don't acknowledge me. It's a reason that they're doing a whole lot more than that. This system is not about yes, sir, and yes, ma'am. This system is about them looking in the mirror and seeing negativity. Them looking at someone else that looks like them and seeing negativity.
Right.
And having negative thoughts or caring less and not having respect for themselves. And like you were talking about with the school, what are they teaching them? The self-esteem. They don't have, if they learn their history, they're going to have a better self-esteem. They're going to believe they can.
Right.
Even though they can't right now, if you teach me about Timbuktu and all the things that's in Africa and what we did as a people, and these people are you. That Martin Luther King is not some special Negro, you know, that came about. Malcolm X.
Okay.
He's not some lab superhero Negro. He's us. Those people are us, and that is within us. So this is what we have to teach them, that all these people we could teach them about. They defied the odds.
Right.
You can defy the odds too. They're just like you. They're not some, you know, something from another planet, some special breed. That's just like you. And this system is against it and opposing us and creating this atmosphere. Because I'm going to say this about prayer in school. You know, people like, well, this is what happened. They took prayer away from school. Then I tell them, I said, well, did they take prayer away from church? Because these people coming into church shooting up churches.
Yes, sir.
You know, and then they don't know what to say.
Right.
You know, you're making it about something that it's not really about. That's what my point is.
Okay.
We have to delve deeper into what we think our problems are.
Yeah, and I think we also need to, it goes both ways too, because I'm not just so much talking about children or kids needing to respect adults. We need to respect them as well. It's a two-way street, you know, and it's like we can't talk to these kids, especially when it comes to parenting. You know, every other word is an MFer. Every other word is a B. Every other word is a this. Every other word is a that. And I'm saying, you know, this is basic. This is basic humanity is all I'm talking about. And I definitely concur and agree with you that it's so much that we have been taught when we do our broadcast coming up about this mental slavery. We're going to find out that a lot of this stuff, as you just said, it's been taught to us since we've been little children, and now that we're older, it's inside of us. And so we have to deal with, how do you help a group of people who don't know how to think properly about their history, about themselves, and about all of the other things that we talk about. But I think that's important, that people need to show value and concern for one another.
Right. And we have someone that want to grab the mic and they want to take over the John Kev Show for a moment.
I don't want to take over, but I do have a thought. Mine is peace. We always talk about how can we find this peace. And I know for me, learning how to not say yes to everything. To say yes to everything. There are boundaries, you know, when it comes to peace. Sometimes when you get around people that are negative, that can disrupt your peace. Sometimes our thought process, how we think of things, that can disrupt your peace. So that's my heart issue, is peace, and finding that boundary and learning to say, no, I can't do that. No, I can't do that. Or yes, I can. So that's my heart issue, is peace.
All right, we appreciate that.
Yeah, that's interesting, Kel.
You want to expound on that, man?
I want to elaborate a little bit on that, because a lot of us in this world, we go to religious meetings, we go to spiritual meetings, and that's all we talk about. We sing about peace, this peace that I have, the world didn't give it to me, and these are just cliches. And because when you look at our lives, what we go through with our kids, our grown kids, our young kids, our relatives, our bills, our finances, our health, we don't seem to realize that peace is something that is not given to you. Is something that you have to control. You have to control how things, as the sister said, how to say no sometimes. That'll give you peace, because a lot of times we try to be all things to all men and women, and we run around here like a chicken with our heads cut off, and then we complain about, I'm stressed out, but I pull this on myself. And that's one of the things that I have to learn, because a lot of people ask me to do things, and every other day I'll do it, I'll do it. And then when I see you, you're like, what's up, John? Man, I got this going on. Because I should have said no to some of that.
Right.
And that's a practical truth that I think a lot of us don't like to share. And I'm glad that the sister was open and honest, because a lot of people we hold on to this, man, and it just eats us up. We go to these places and we sing these songs. We want people to think that we have peace in our lives, but the reality is we have hell in our lives.
Yeah, I mean, like the main thing is monitoring. You have to monitor your own health.
Yeah.
Period. And peace is a big part of your health. You will stress out, worrying about. And I'm gonna say this too, because I just thought of that. I know my dad had told me something one time, and he said, when you have people that always lay their burdens, their problems, or they want to come discuss their problems, that's a good thing. You know, trying to help. You know, you have friends that say, "Hey, man, I'm going through this." That's good. But when you get too much of that, you know, you're carrying something that somebody else is trying to, you know,
Yes, sir.
carry themselves, and you're feeling bad. You say, "Man, what's wrong, man?" I'm like, "Man, my friend is going through this," and I may talk to somebody. But see, I'm internalizing all of that stuff. So you have to monitor your, you know, if you're going to take on those burdens, because you got your own burden, you have your own burden.
Yes, sir.
Then someone else that, you know, we have a lot of family and stuff, and they'll come and say, "Hey, man, you're busy, I want to talk to you," you know, and dudes don't do that too much. That's women do that a lot more than we do. They'll talk to their girlfriends, but it's like that burden, and that's what he was talking to me about, a family member that says, "Hey, man, watch out for her, because, you know, she got to take a break sometime." Everybody's unloading their issues and stuff on, and that person may talk, or that may happen. You know, people will say, "Well, what you thinking?" You listening, but it's like you feeling it. You know, people don't think about that, man. You're feeling other people's problems,
Right.
And I'm not saying like shut the door on that, but you have to monitor your own peace.
Yeah, that's true. One of the other things that's heavy on my heart is I have to be historically grounded. You say, okay, what do you mean by being historically grounded? In other words, I need to not just study about my history during Black History Month. I shouldn't just study about my history as far as Juneteenth. In other words, these holidays come up, and, you know, I wear a dashiki, and, you know, I'm pro-Black and all of this. And then for the rest of the year, I'm doing everything under the sun. I'm not thinking about, you know, and when you say, well, Jai, you read any good books lately about a brother or sister that's really done something for our plight? And then I get angry because you're challenging me in love. You really want to know, but because I haven't done my due diligence, now I'm angry. But then here comes this month comes around again where it's Juneteenth or whatever that month is, and now I'm pro-Black again. And so it's like I have to do this throughout the year. And I don't literally mean picking up a book and reading it every day. That's impossible. I'm not talking about that. But some of us forget about our ancestors. We forget about the things that we should be talking about until that day come around. And that's why we cook certain foods. We talk about our ancestors and all this stuff. You know, Mama used to cook black-eyed peas on the first of the year because that brings good luck, and all these kind of sayings. But the bottom line is we should have some type of ongoing relationship with some type of studies individually, and it doesn't have to be yours, doesn't have to be like mine. I come over your crib, I see you have a plethora, you have a library. And I know those books are not there so people can say, "Oh man, this dude done read everything." No, it's because that's in your heart, man. I mean, you take that to heart, and I think we all need to learn a lesson about our history and not just be temporarily inundated with our history only when the day come for us to celebrate. That's all I'm trying to say.
I'm gonna chime in on that, man. I have a different probably approach to that.
Okay.
And I'm gonna bring up the health thing, 'cause
Okay.
I think that's something that we all can relate to. If someone is out there and they're trying to do something, for whatever reason they're trying to do it cosmetically or they wanted to get in health, and if I see a person and I see them out there running, you know, or jogging or walking, you know, I could say, oh man, you know, I run all this, I do all this running, you need to run. I don't want to do that. If that person, wherever, I'm going to meet them wherever they're at, and I'm going to give them encouragement for what they're doing. So when I see these people that's trying to, like, I don't know, like, if I see somebody walking, I used to do this when I say, man, walking. I hate, why are they walking? You know, I was in the military, man, we ran. You're not going to lose this or get in shape by just walking.
Right.
But then I I don't know that person's health condition. I don't know that person's knees. I don't know that person's back. And what they're doing, they're making an effort to get out there and do something. They could be sitting up on the couch not doing anything.
Right.
So that was my thing. I had to I had to look at myself on how I'm looking at other people. Now with the history thing, if someone asks me questions, I had a friend of mine, good friend, we talk a lot. He said, man, I don't know anything about W.B. Du Bois or Mark. I'm like, okay, that's enough. Okay, well, brother, we could have that conversation. You know, so my thing is I'm going to meet you where you're at. And if you're putting forth that effort could be here, somebody else could be way over here, and somebody else could be way back there and not know anything. And I'm glad you're here. And I'm going to encourage, and that's like I was talking about when I see people running, sometimes I beat my horn and I give them a thumbs up.
Good.
Because I know they're trying,
Right,
as opposed
right.
to say, man, look at that, look at, you know, they ran 10 steps and start walking again. It's like they, you know, that's how I have to refocus on how I look
hear
at people and meeting them on where they're at.
I hear. That's interesting. That's good. We have another person with the microphone, so we have to be quiet and let our get.
I don't know what Mike is doing that.
Hotel Brothers.
Hotel.
What's heavy on my heart is parenting. And I remember an elder person telling me one time that their babies, we start parenting when they're babies on our lap. But then when they become adults, we're still parenting because that's where they're not just only on our lap, but they're on our hearts now. And I'm a Southern girl, and I was raised a whole lot better than what this generation is coming up today, and to go back any further than that. But I try not to, well, I struggle with some of the things that my parents told me coming up. And I thought of it as making me fearful, but they were actually, that was just their way of teaching me. And I didn't want to impose that on my children. But here it is, 20 plus, 20 plus, 20 plus, and some years later, and now even being a great-grandmother, I find myself going back into how I was taught and trying to apply that to my children, which are grown now, even my grandchildren, except for my grandson. But it bothers me to put my whole being into my children, and yet not a thing for searching for love, but what you get in return is like negativity. You know, the things that you don't expect to come from them, the way they treat you, the way they act. And I'm in a space now in my head where those things would break me down. And now those things are building me up.
Okay.
So I'm grateful for that, and that's what's heavy on my heart.
Wow.
That was great.
You say something about that?
Parenting, yeah, I want to expound on that also. I think parenting is something that maybe we as a people should consolidate and have rules and ethics about parenting.
Okay.
Because parenting to one person and parenting to another person is different.
Okay.
And it depends on your environment. Like, you know, the speaker said about being a Southern girl and things like this. And what I see with a lot of parents, I'm more so like carrying our boys, you know, turning boys to men. And I don't want them singing. I ain't talking about singing. But my thing is, you got to teach these young boys to be protectors of our women. And that's a big thing for me. But when I see the parenting part of it, especially in a single parent household with a mother, that apron is, you know, preventing some of that. And that's a parenting issue to me. You could teach him how to tell him he got to learn to cook. You could tell him how to do whatever, his laundry, fold his clothes, and all these things, and how to open the door for a lady. But my thing is, you got to teach him how to be a protector. You know, and I see too many times where kid is 14, 15, 16 years old, and that mother is prohibiting some of the vital teaching of him becoming a man, or what I think a man should be, that I think we're lacking in our neighborhood. Like, they won't make them cut the grass. You know, they won't make them take out the trash. And I'm telling them, well, those are the things that's telling them that they are in control
Yes, sir.
of their
Yes, sir.
environment. You know, you got to take care of home first,
Right.
and then you start branching that out to your community. How you want somebody to grow up and learn about taking care of their community and trying to take the trash out of their community when you never taught them how to take the trash out of the house?
Wow.
And they sitting up there watching their mother do it. And I've met people and they say, hey, could you grab this trash? And I'm thinking, you got this 17-year-old boy in here, been here all day on this
Yeah.
game, and you should
Come
be
on,
coming
Bill.
home barking at
Come
him.
on, man.
But you want me to help take out the trash. And
teach-
it's not about me being on him.
Right, right.
It's about me wanting him to learn the vital
Yeah.
things in life that's going to project him into the future of being a soldier in
Wow.
our community. I don't mean just going out
I
shooting.
understand.
These other soldier mindsets is going out, you know.
Man, you talking now, because I know a lot of, I want to say two things. One thing is, I know in a lot of relationships, some of my male friends, they get involved with women and they say that's a problem because they come in and they try to teach this young boy what to do, and the woman is, leave my baby alone, and all this kind of stuff. And then before you know it, the baby is in the joint, and now the man is looking at the woman like, see, I was trying to, so that wouldn't have happened, you know. And the second thing is, you know, I'm grateful that I have 4 sisters and I don't have any brothers. But my community, man, my mother met some women who had men. And boy, they taught me, you know, how to be a man. I mean, we learned so much as far as what men should do. And I emulated a lot of them. And a lot of them have passed away. But the principles that they taught me growing up, so people always say, well, you didn't have any brothers? But I did. I had about 15 of them when you really count them, because my mother had befriended 3 women, and we lived so close together. We would share beans and rice, and these brothers used to take me and do things with me and teach me what manhood was about. My father wasn't always around because he was ripping and running, but these guys, I look back at my life and I'm grateful to these guys. Sometimes I'm laying in the bed just looking up at the ceiling, and I think about them, and I'm like, I'm so grateful that I was able to be a part of their lives, and they took me under their wings and they taught me, and I'm just grateful for that.
Yeah, I want to talk about that relationship part, that relationship part. Like we were talking about earlier about tutoring and all this stuff. If you know somebody that's good at math, if you are a single parent household mom and you have boys and they're starting to become at a certain age, instead of letting the streets teach them, we have to have relationships with the community to say, hey, my son is getting at this person is out there working on his brakes. Hey, do you mind if my son come and watch? You know, these type of relationships in our community. Hey, I know the sister that got boys. Hey, you mind if I take them? And anytime I do something, as far as like when I was a coach, I did more. It was more than about teaching football. I was teaching a boy's life, and I was trying to be an example of what a man was to them. And I talk to them outside of football a lot, you know, because I know I'm there and I got them there. I have them there for a reason. And I know the reason in their mind is to play sports. But it's like, no, I have you for a reason on my part. I want to teach you about manhood. Or I want to teach you about becoming a man.
Yeah.
You know, and I tell them things and I talk to them about things, and it's like nothing to do with football.
Right.
Or if it's a basketball coach or whatever it is, I'm teaching them boxing. It's like, hey, man, you know, and I'm teaching them little tidbits about life, you know, about what you do with life and how you got to present yourself in life.
Right. And one of the things that I want to talk about, I know time is winding up, but I wanted to say this, and if I don't get to say anything after this, I'm good. But I wanted to encourage everyone, and even myself, and you too, Kel, we need to enjoy life more. In other words, you know, we all are here for a season, and we all know that. We say it all the time. Life is but a season. I remember, just seemed like yesterday, I was 5 or 6 years old rather, and it's true. But when I think back on it, I want to make sure that the years that I have left, I want to be grateful, man. I want to be grateful for what I have. You know, I don't want to be this negative guy all the time. I want to do something that's going to feed my mind. You know, I want to enjoy life. I want to smile more. You know, I want to have fun. I know there's time for me to be austere. There you go. There's time for me to be austere. And I enjoy what we do. You see, time matters, man. But a lot of us, we say it matters, but we don't believe that because we're so bogged down with all these things. And before you know it, it's time for us to check out in some kind of way. And we know that as we get older, that's one of the things that should sober us. We know that as we get older, we're getting closer to that day, and that's fine to check out. But from the time that we begin to realize this, I just want to encourage everyone to enjoy life to the fullest. I know we have bills, I know we have problems, I know we have all of these things, but this is the kind of lesson that we should be getting just in our homes, telling our relatives, enjoy life, man, because you're going to look up one day and this thing is going to be almost over, and you don't want to look back and say, you know what, I really didn't enjoy myself. And I don't mean going out to the clubs, drinking and all that. I mean just in your heart, man. Just be grateful. And that's kind of what I want to share.
Yeah, we have to manage our life, man. You have to manage your joys, your pleasures.
Yeah.
You have to manage your community, manage your relationships with people, not just your significant other. You have to manage your relationships with everyone you have to deal with. You have to manage that. And sometimes people could be going through things. With the sister brought up earlier, people could be stressing, right? You could be stressing, and then you're bleeding that over on somebody else in their relationship, and you saying, hey, your friends may be saying, hey, let's go do something, and if it's not anything negative, then do those type of things. You got to separate. You got to manage your stress. You got to manage your health. You got to manage your relationships in life. We got to manage our community. This is the biggest thing that I think is lacking in the black community. We don't have any managers that's managing what's happening in our community. And we're putting it on parents, we're putting it on the school, but then if someone's complaining about the school or they're complaining about the other parents, I'm saying, so what can we do? I want solutions.
Okay.
What can we do to help these kids have a better education? If the school is not teaching them, let's do something after school program.
Right.
And you get with the other parents, why don't you send your kids? They're going to learn something every Thursday, every Friday, whatever day we pick out. And then you may be teaching them how to do something else. I may be teaching them how to fix brakes on the car or something in the home or something like that. But we have to take control and manage our own communities.
That's true. Now, if there's any more comments or questions, we definitely would like to take it on. But if not, we're going to sign off. But Kev, man, this, and I've often told you this, man, and I've often said this too. Sometimes you got to tell people to their face and not behind their back how you feel about them. And I'm not talking about you behind your back. Look at him, looking at you. Uh-oh, y'all finna say something. But no, I appreciate these broadcasts because they're sober, man. And they not only, it's not so much about them making me think and being sharp, because we talk off the air all the time. But it's just to have a brother that sit down and just be himself. I don't have to worry about you going into a building and acting a certain way like some of these religious people that are just hypocrites, where you can't do this, but then when they get outside, they do everything. So I mean, I appreciate a brother like you, man, that's just gonna check me too, check me and say, John, you need to cut that out, but. And I do him the same way. He looking at me, but he knows behind closed doors. But the bottom line is, man, you keep doing what you're doing, man. You keep being there for your family. I noticed you told me on the way out, we were bringing in equipment about you spending all that time with your grandson. You posted you and your grandson, y'all do things. Keep doing that, man. Keep doing that,
I appreciate it. I'm going to say some kind words to my brother on here, my co-host on here. A lot of people get the wrong impression of you. I'm gonna say that they get the wrong impression of you without knowing you.
Right.
And that's something that, hey man, he come across as this brother comes across like he care about the community. If you see him with the kids that's in the class or the school, they love him. So it's nothing that I can understand or comprehend where people get this negativity that, oh, Jai's like this, or he's this mean guy, or he, and if you get to know this guy, he's all about us. He's all about our future, our kids. He's all about our people. And I don't, however he comes across to you, you don't understand. Because he's going to come across as someone that's passionate about what he believes and what he cares about. And I appreciate doing this show with you, man. It's not, we acting like this the last show or something.
I'm just saying, no, but check it out.
Like we signing off, and you know something I don't know.
I don't know anything. But to all those who say that, I appreciate that. And my thing with that is this. I'm a stern guy when I have to be, and sometimes, bro, Kevin, some people don't like the way you say the truth. Some people say the truth a certain way, and they like to not so much sugarcoat, but everybody has a different demeanor. Sometimes when I talk about truth and I'm passionate about it, I say it, and then they look at that and they say, oh man, he's hardcore. No, I'm not hardcore, but when I have to be, all of us, it depends on what we're talking about. And so once again, I know some people, they think that about me, but like you said, once they get to know me, I give them the shirt off my back, but I ain't trying to be all things to all men. I am who I am.
Right.
And if you like me, I'm okay with it. If you don't, I would say it, but we're on a broadcast now. You kiss me with a sun.
And I appreciate y'all that showed up on Facebook, Mashawanda and Josiah. I appreciate, he said if they have after-school programs, they can help children study after hours. Tyron Springs, I appreciate you showing up, sister. And Lady Royal said he's the best. And I guess she's talking about you.
Yeah, she talking about
See, you always think I think about myself, man. I guess I know she's probably talking about you. But we appreciate everyone that helped participate in this show, this remote show. And maybe we'll do this again sometime, man.
We should,
and get out to the public.
Yeah, because you laid back. When we working in the lab, you different. But now we got to get him out more. Now he's kind of serene, y'all. So let's keep it going. But to all those who came out to support us, family and friends, relatives, we really love you and we thank you for coming out. This is the John Kev Show. This is what we do every Tuesday. First and third Tuesday. We're off this Tuesday. The following Tuesday, we'll be on at 6:30 Central Standard Time. Subscribe to our broadcast because this is the kind of show that you do not want to miss. So once again, we thank you for tuning into this broadcast. We out, Kev.
Yeah, and if y'all have any topics y'all want us to hit, y'all hit us up on either social media, on our YouTube page, put it in the comments, or y'all can hit us up at the Gmail that I don't know offhand, but we'll get back with y'all on that. But hit me up on my Facebook page. Hit me in the comments if it's something that y'all think that you want to hear us talk about. Peace.